My relatives that lived in a town close to Ed Gein told me these terrible stories, these tales of human skin, lampshades, and furniture, and such as that. A little bit of grave robbing, I think. But I grew up with that like a kind of like a campfire tale, you know, a horror tale you tell in a story and tell in the woods. And I didn't really know the man's name. I didn't even know about Ed Gein. I just knew about something that happened that was horrendous. But that image really stuck, and I grew up with that kind of burning in my mind.
Hello?
I think the poster said, "What happened is real." You know, now the movie, that's just as true, or something to that effect. What you see in that film is really a version of a very old and widely distributed kind of folk story about taboo rooms or houses that you are forbidden from entering, which is known as the bloody or forbidden chamber. But of course, people do enter it, and what they discover there is a room full of dismembered corpses, and they themselves then are killed and dismembered and so on. So the facts of the GEIN case become assimilated to this kind of story. It's as though there is some archaic level of our mind which makes sense or comprehends these horrors in terms of these stories.
I was thinking to create a house of kind of ultimate horror, a house that said and smelled and tasted death. And there again, bringing the image up of death, the reminder of the grand monster. I had to dress and redress that house many times to get the look I wanted. To get like a totem of bones and artwork, you know. I mean, someone that had been tinkering with, I mean, right down to the bone and to the marrow. Someone that could, in fact, just roll their sleeves up and dip their hands into death itself. I had a realization that the monster was the monster in us all, and was death, and was madness, and so I approached it as a kind of documentary.
Grave robbing in Texas is this hour's top news story. An informant led officers of the Muerto County Sheriff's Department to a cemetery just outside the small rural Texas community of Newt early this morning.
When I discovered Ed Gein really did some of the things that I think I don't know, I pulled out of collective consciousness or something. And he actually used meat hooks and cured parts and was a cannibal. It truly surprised me.
There's a quality of wonder about our relationship to GEIN. It's as though one of those figures that haunts the very darkest places of our minds has suddenly appeared in bright daylight, stepped out into the real world, you know, and we're encountering a supernatural monster made flesh. I read Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a fairy tale which has a great deal to do with Vietnam War anxieties among the young. It seems to be a vision of America transformed into this vast killing machine, you know, that is feeding off its own young.
The death machine was a part of the Vietnam War. Life is cheap. It was a part of the statement. Life can be bought and sold. You can eat life. We live on life. That had to do with the cannibalistic aspects of the film. Things are scary. The news is scary. The times are scary. We were young and naive back then, and we didn't know where all of this was heading. But now horror is taking a different